Are you planning a trip to Italy, but you're not sure about the itinerary? Well, today we're going to give you the best and easiest itinerary to visit the most famous places in Italy.
Stay tuned!
Hi everyone, I'm Rick.
And I'm Andrea, and today we will give you a simple 2 weeks itinerary for your next trip to Italy. We have to thank you, John from Massachusetts, who inspired us for this video.
Thank you, John.
But first, if you like travel-related videos like this one, now is a great time to hit the subscribe button down below, so you never miss any future videos.
Right, and don't forget to hit that bell button as well.
Absolutely. So let's begin with some general tips in order to make the best itinerary in Italy. Tip number 1, you cannot visit everything. As said before, it is not possible to visit every single place in Italy, unless you spend years in the country. Even we haven't seen every single place in Italy, and we live here.
Yeah.
So the most important things to do is, before you're planning a trip to Italy, to narrow down a few things that you really want to see and build the itinerary around these highlights.
Next, also to take travel time into consideration. We've seen many people travel to Italy so many times and they forget to take travel time into consideration. For example, you plan 2 days in Rome, 2 days in Florence, and 2 days in Venice. Sounds good, but you have to remember that to get to Rome to Florence and Florence to Venice, you have to catch a train, and the train ride takes time, so in reality, you only have about a day, maybe less, in each place.
Also, some areas are not easy to get to. Some beautiful areas in Italy are really stunning, but also not very easy to get to. For example, the rolling hills of Tuscany, the Dolomites, Lake Como, or even the Amalfi Coast are not very well served by train or bus. Most of the time, it is necessary to rent a car or take a tour in order to visit those areas. So, you'll need to ask yourself how much you want to see those areas.
Right. Next, think about optimizing your itinerary. As you can see here, Italy is a long and narrow country, and for this reason, the best itineraries are the ones that go from north to south or south to north. To best optimize your time, it's better to avoid going back and forth from one side to the other, but instead go in one direction. Ideally, I'd say it's better to start your itinerary in one city in the north or in the south and end up on the opposite side. For instance, you could start in Rome and end in Venice, or vice versa. But unfortunately, this is not always possible due to the airlines.
After this consideration, let's start our itinerary. We have made the itinerary 14 days, but if you only have less time, you can remove a few stops in order to accommodate your travel times.
Right, exactly. Like you might be wanting to create a 7-day itinerary in Italy or a 10-day Italy itinerary. Actually, 10-day is probably the most common itinerary that folks have. And I think it was my first time in Italy way back in 2004. It was also for 10 days.
So let's start by landing in Rome Fiumicino. If you're coming from anywhere other than European airport, the easiest airport to arrive in Italy is at Rome Fiumicino. For this reason, we'll start our itinerary from this airport. From Fiumicino, you can catch the Leonardo Express that takes you straight to the terminal station in the middle of the city of Rome. By the way, if you want to know more about how to get from Rome to Fiumicino and vice versa, check out this video up here.
Alright, so starting with Rome, we suggest spending 4 nights. As Rome is a big city and has lots to offer, we think that 4 nights is a good amount of time to spend in the city after your arrival. Also, keep in mind that you're probably going to be a little jet-lagged, and staying in the city will make it easy to reset your clock. And if you include the day of arrival, this will give you 2.5 days to explore Rome and most of its attractions. But don't rush to visit everything in Rome, because you'll have 1 extra day and perhaps more at the end of the tour.
From Rome, you can take a train to Naples. The high-speed train from Rome to Naples takes about 1 hour and 15 minutes. The train runs frequently, approximately once every 30 minutes. For this kind of train, a high-speed train, you have to make a reservation in advance. If you take, for example, the 9:15 a.m. train, you will arrive in Naples at 10:28 a.m., giving you almost an entire day to explore Naples and this beautiful city. The train station is located in the city center, and with a short taxi ride you can be at your hotel, drop your bag and start exploring this amazing city. We suggest you stay in Naples for 4 nights.
Right. So, on your second day of Naples, you can go and visit Pompeii. And it's possible to do this on your own by taking the train. In fact, you can check out this video here about taking the train to Pompeii and Herculaneum. One very important thing is to buy your tickets in advance, to skip the line. Because especially in the summertime, the lines for the ticket office can be really long and it's going to be super hot out. And you probably don't want to spend your day waiting to buy a ticket. So we'll leave a link in the description below to buy skip the line tickets in advance. Now, if you don't feel adventurous and you want to take an organized tour of Pompeii from Naples, we'll also leave a link for that as well. Now, it's also possible to visit both sites, Pompeii and Herculaneum, on the same day. We did this. It'll be a long day, but I assure you it'll be totally worth it.
Day 3 in Naples is a tour of the Amalfi Coast. On your third day in Naples, you can take a tour of the Amalfi Coast. You have a couple of options here that we recommend, either a bus tour or a boat tour. We've done it by boat in the summer and we loved it. Again, we'll leave a link in the description below for both kind of tours. Keep in mind that the boat tour runs only in the summertime.
And it's far more fun than that windy road.
And you can swim in the ocean, which is fantastic.
That's true. All right, so the morning after, now it's time to take the train to Florence. The high-speed train from Naples to Florence takes about 3 hours, and again, this requires a reservation. The train runs every 30 minutes, so if you take the 8:40 a.m. train, you'll be in Florence by lunch. Florence train station is called the Santa Maria Novella, and it's right downtown and just a short 5-minute walk to the Duomo in the city center. After lunch, you'll have the entire afternoon to explore the beautiful city of Florence. Now, we suggest you to stay in Florence for 4 nights, not because it's a big city, but because there's so much to see around it.
For your second day in Florence, we suggest you explore more of this beautiful city. You could visit the Uffizi Gallery and admire some of the most famous paintings in the world. Again, we strongly recommend you book your ticket in advance to skip the long lines at the ticket office. As usual, we leave a link in the description below. So this is the theme of the video.
That's right.
Buy your tickets in advance.
Right.
Same thing if you want to see the David at the Galleria dell'Accademia. It is highly recommended to buy your ticket in advance.
Actually, I think you have to for that one.
Yes. We have done several videos about Florence and you can take a look in our channel for them, including a video about 3 things to do in Florence. And things to do for
that was a fun video.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, so for your third day in Florence, I would say that today is a good day to go and take a tour of Tuscany. Now, there's several tours of Tuscany that you can take, and some of them include wine tasting, as well as others that include food tasting or even cooking classes. And you can pick the one that makes the best sense for you, and of course we're going to leave a link in the description for more about that.
And now on your 4th day in Florence, it is a great time to go and visit the Leaning Tower of Pisa in the nearby town of Pisa. You can take a regional train in the morning and the train ride takes about 55 minutes to get there. Being a regional train, reservations are not required, just buy a ticket. The train runs very frequently. From the Pisa Centrale train station, it is a 20-minute walk to the tower and through the beautiful street of the ancient town of Pisa. You can take a late train back to Florence to be able to admire the tower at night, which is really nice, and I think it's better at night.
Totally agree, once all the tourists have gone away. On your last day of Florence, I would say take the high-speed train from Florence to Venice. That takes about 2 hours and 15 minutes. It runs about every hour, and make sure to take the train to Venezia Santa Lucia station. That's the one right downtown on the Grand Canal. If you catch the train at 9:20 a.m., you'll be eating in Venice by lunchtime. And as usual, high-speed train reservations are required. From the Santa Lucia station, you can take the Vaporetto, which is the equivalent of a bus in Venice, and you'll find it pretty much anywhere in the city. You'll have the whole afternoon and the following day to explore the beautiful city of Venice, and we suggest you to stay 2 nights in Venice.
On your second day in Venice, you can continue exploring the stunning city of Venice, but also don't forget to take a Vaporetto to the colorful island of Burano. This little island is quite incredible and definitely worth a visit. You can check out our video about Burano. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. Also, while in Venice, don't skip the most typical Venetian food. This is quite different from food of the rest of the country, so worth to check.
That's right, it's called the cicchetti.
Yes.
That's right. On your day 3 in Venice, now it's time to take the train back to Rome. The train ride takes almost 4 hours, and this is the longest train ride of the whole itinerary. Due to the fact that you're going back to Rome, you can choose a morning train if you want to spend more time in Rome, or catch an afternoon train if you want to spend more time in Venice. The choice is totally up to you.
Well, last day in Rome, it is your last day in the trip. And what you do, it all depends on what time your flight is out of Fiumicino. If you are catching an afternoon flight, you won't have much time to spend in Rome. But if your flight is at night, you have a few more hours to spend in Rome and maybe do some last day meal shopping in this beautiful city.
Right. Or sightseeing.
Sightseeing, exactly.
Well, we hope that you found this video very helpful. As usual, if you have any questions about your itinerary to Italy, please leave a comment below because we love to read and reply to them. In the meantime, we will see you in our next video.
Ciao.
Ciao.